Serious, people who've had sex with their so/ex/friend's parent, how the hell did you get to that point? What happened after? Dated a girl for almost a year and thought everything was great. Used to spend lots of time at her house with her and her mother, everything was beautiful. One weekend she went to New Orleans with friends. A month later she told me she'd met the man of her dreams while she was in New Orleans and she was moving to Memphis to live with him. A week later she was gone, leaving me in shock. Mom called me a week later and told me that the ex had left a couple of boxes of my stuff, so I went by to pick them up. Started talking to the mom, who was just as in shock about it as I was. Over the next few weeks me and the mom talked a lot about feelings, both being hurt that the daughter had just packed and left both of us. We started talking and texting a lot, especially late at night. Got a message from her late one night asking what I was doing, jokingly told her I was in bed jerking off. There had been a lot of meaningless sexual comments between me, the ex, and the mom. She asked if I wanted company and I said always, as an automatic, throwaway comment, expecting her to laugh. Got no response to that but got a couple of texts about random crap. Then she sent a message that just said I'm here. I was almost in a panic. I never actually thought she was coming over. Let her in and I was shaking like a high school virgin. I got over that pretty quickly and 3 minutes later we were in bed making the slowest, most passionate love I'd ever had. It turned into an amazing, almost nightly thing for a couple of months before Mom started dating a guy she worked with and we ended things cheerfully. 20 years later the ex, that I hadn't spoken to since she moved, called me. No hello, just straight to "Did you seriously F my mom?" And hear a whole lot of laughter in the background. She was out with her mom and aunt and somehow it had come up. She'd never had a clue. Side note, she is still married to the guy she met, so I guess she might have been right. That where you got your name? Or was that a separate incident? Good for you. That sounds like a brutal breakup. Imagine your friend watching this comment and figuring out it is you. Imagine you remembered looking out the window and seeing your son and Mrs. Jenkins suspiciously swimming in her pool and drinking, during her divorce. Friend's mom, going through some tough times with her husband, accidentally added one of our friends on Facebook. She started flirting with him and eventually they effed. After this kept going on for a couple of months, dude decided to tell his friend, son, about it, at his house. The son cried, they threw hands at each other and everything was alright moments later. Don't really know what happened after that, lost contact with both of them. At least it sounds like there was reconciliation. Mine is one I'm not very proud of. This happened during spring break of 2000. I was 16, and my high school was out for 1 week for spring break. There was a girl who lived not far from me who was a year younger, but we were fairly close friends. She was kind of a tomboy, outgoing, and generally pretty cool all around. I didn't have a whole lot of friends and was a bit of a loner, so the fact she would talk to me at all during lunch probably made her my closest friend. I admittedly was a bit interested in her romantically since she was cute, but I was too afraid to act on it since I didn't really have many friends and I didn't want to jeopardize anything. So during spring break, I'd come over to her house and we'd go out biking or walking. Basically any adventure that came to mind we went on. I remember it was a Thursday, and I had come over as we had initially planned to bike up to this park that was in the foothills. This was in Southern California. Her mom answered the door and said she wasn't home right now. This was also before everyone had a cell phone, but invited me in. Again, not too out of the ordinary, her mom was always pretty nice to me. Her mom was probably in her mid-40s, and was very attractive. She looked like my friend, but with longer hair and more of a figure. Clearly, I was attracted to her, but never really thought much about it. We had talked before when I had come over, and she was always really nice to me, much nicer than her husband, who gave me the talk about hanging out with his daughter. Said talk included a not-so-veiled threat of serious physical harm if I did anything to her. This also added as to why I was kind of afraid to ask my friend out. Her mom invites me and I kind of stand in the living room while she goes and gets me a glass of water. She then tells me that my friend isn't at home since she is with her dad. She then goes on how her and my friend's dad have gotten distant over the years. As we talk she gets closer and closer, and before long, we kiss. It's a passionate kiss, and my hormones are going crazy at this point. Ultimately, we go to her room and have sex. It was my first time. I want to say it was hot and passionate, but looking back it was really awkward and clumsy. I had no idea what to do, and it didn't last long. She was less passionate and more aggressive. After she broke down and apologized, and I broke down and apologized too. It was not a good time. I just got dressed and walked home after we swore not to tell anyone, mainly because she just had sex with someone underage, which is very, very illegal. I didn't want to say anything because I was ashamed. Ultimately, my friend and I drifted apart. I think she knew something happened since I just stopped talking to her and kind of hid from her. Every time I saw her, I thought of what her mom and I did, and I felt shame and disgust. I'd duck into a classroom when I saw her, or I'd go eat lunch in the parking lot. Holy crap, do I feel like the world's biggest dick typing that out. I graduated and ended up dropping out of college twice, BS ed my way into a decent job and worked in Japan, Canada and New Zealand for 10 years before coming back home, and honestly haven't had a meaningful relationship with a woman in a while. It's a weird mix of trust issues, I think, and just me being distant. I just think back to that time with my friend's mom and feel ashamed and regretful again. I should never have given in to my urges like that. However, I'm okay being by myself to a point, although I do kind of wish I had someone at times. It's strange. My friend and I talked a little on MySpace several years later. Yes, this is how long ago this was, but nothing after that. She went to college back east and was seeing someone. I felt jealous at the time, but then kind of sad. My last message was apologizing for becoming distant, but she never responded. We haven't spoken since about 2007. I have no idea what she's up to now. I know her parents eventually split up, and her dad was on a local city council until last year. No idea what her mom is doing now. I try not to think about it very much, but I wish I could just apologize to my friend. Sorry for the giant story, everyone. My brother's best friend from high school dated my mom in his 30s. She had my brother really young, when she was barely 15, so when his friend was in his 30s, she wasn't yet 50. I will always remember the night he found out. They fought, and my brother's friend left the house, and got into his car. My brother followed him out, and punched him in the head through the driver's side window. He managed to go through the window and still connect with enough force to knock him out cold. The real question here is how effed up was your brother's hand afterwards? It's not exactly easy to punch through a car window. Did they break up after? In my late 20s, I had a friend in a small mountain town in the western US. His mom gets separated, moves in with him. She's mildly flirtatious with me, no big deal. Not enough to raise any red flags. Job changes and I move to the city, 90 miles south. He comes on weekends to party a few times, normal stuff. Then he comes to party and brings her. At her request we have a late night of fist while he's passed out in the next room. Major violation of bro code by me, but she asked nicely. No surprise we weren't friends after that. Bringing your single mom to a party 90 miles from home where you intend on passing out on the couch. What do you think she was going to do? Knit? A good friend of mine had this happen to her back in high school. She caught her, also high school aged, boyfriend sexting her 40-something-year-old mother, and it led to her mom and her stepdad's divorce. All while she was 17 years old. She still has a strained relationship with her mom to this day. We are 25 now, so this happened almost 10 years ago. I don't think you can ever get over that kind of betrayal by your own mother. I believe she still has a good relationship with her, now ex-stepdad though. Her mom is now dating a man her age, but she will always be a predator in my eyes that seduces her daughter's boyfriend. So gross. My friend has a similar story. After graduation, she joined the Air Force, US, and continued long-distance style with her boyfriend she's been with for over a year. She was at her first duty station, where I met her, away from home for the first time. Serving in the military and trying to make a life for herself. And then she got a call from her dad. Turns out her boyfriend and her mom had hooked up. She was devastated. Her parents divorced. And her mom kept going with the relationship. Total scumbag move. It messed my friend up. She didn't want to go home on leave because she was embarrassed. And her little brother had to witness all this. I think my friend's ex eventually married her mom. I've lost touch with my friend. I don't know if she ever forgave them or if they get along at all now. This was more than 20 years ago. If you are willing to steal your daughter's boyfriend, I'm willing to bet you had other parental flaws. My mom did something similar, except it was my rapist and he wasn't a teenager, still 20 years younger than her, though. Ugh man, that is so terrible. I am really sorry that happened to you, both things. It must have been a really frustrating and painful time for you to have found that out. I just can't imagine how hurt I would feel by something like that. Is your mom still in your life at this point? And more importantly, how are you doing these days? Wait a minute, and she knew that? I'm on mobile. So apologies for the formatting. I was at a friend's birthday party. My friend was in her mid-20s, I was 30, and her mom was in her early 50s. She and her mom took really good care of me after my father passed. They made sure I was eating and that I actually left the apartment every day, as I was prone to just sit around being a depressed sad sack. Friend's mom and I used to get stoned together. So when we were at her daughter's birthday party at her mom's house, she called me to her room so we could smoke a joint. She didn't want to do it in front of everyone, and it definitely wasn't the first time we'd gotten a little high together. So it was somewhat familiar territory. Maybe it was the weed, or the wine, or both, but as we're smoking and chatting, I just leaned in and kissed her. To my surprise, she kissed me back, and we proceeded to make out like a couple of horny teenagers on the love seat in her bedroom. She stopped for a moment, looked at me and said, "Well, had I known you were interested, we could have done this a long time ago." We made out a little more, and I told her that we should stop because we're going to get caught. So we kissed and groped one another a little more, and returned to the party. The next day she stopped by my apartment to see how I was doing, which wasn't uncommon. That day was slightly different. She was always a very good-looking woman, but that day she had more carefully applied makeup, some nice-looking earrings and a blouse that showed off more cleavage than usual. I invited her in and we were off to the races. We both had a great time, but I thought of my friend and said that we probably shouldn't do this again. She didn't really respond to it and we continued to cuddle for a while. The next day she called me and said that she thought she may have lost her earring on my bed or my couch, which I thought was BS, but it turns out that the earring was indeed in between the cushions of my couch. She came over to retrieve it and we went at it again. And again, and again. This went on for months until I finally was moving out of state. It never happened again, we never spoke of it, and my friend never found out. Sadly, my friend's mom passed 5 years ago. I thought about telling her, but it just seemed like a bad idea. R.I.P. Julie. You were smoking hot and just an all-around great woman. Edit, wow. I had no idea this would get so much attention. Thanks for all the upvotes. Oh, this became very sad. Maybe the only actually sweet story on here. P.S. Not telling her is most definitely the right move. Hey, heard your mom died. For your information, way banged a lot. At funeral, is there anyone who wants to tell about a fond memory about the deceased, who maybe wasn't comfortable sharing when she was with us? Op gets up and clears his throat, lol. Rip Julie. A friend of mine's mom basically hit on a number of us in the group, and sadly it just became kind of a matter of time before one of us caved and it eventually happened. He saw it coming, I feel bad for him. Recently divorced mid-30s hot mom and a group of 18-year-olds. It wasn't me who did it. I went to high school with a kid whose mom was like this. She'd let him throw big parties and she would get topless in the hot tub with teenagers. It was extremely awkward because most of us didn't want to go in the backyard when she was out there because we didn't feel comfortable. Several of his friends had sex with her and one of them ended up dating her for like 5 years and moving with her to LA. It was very bizarre. A similar thing happened in our group, although she was older than 30s. She ended up with 2 at the same time. Then individually at different times. That was a shame-filled few months for the whole tribe. Jesus. Did her son find out? When I was 20, I got accepted to university in Canada. I'm a French guy, and my mum put together a barbecue to celebrate it with my best friends, among which was my actual best friend, girl my age, who lived far so she would stay the night. My mum and dad were already getting divorced and sleeping in separate rooms back then, so there was no doubt they will ever get back to normalcy in terms of their relationship. After most people left, and I was drunking my way around talking about Canada with another friend, my, now former, best friend, and my dad made sure my mum went to bed and carried on drinking together. All I remember after is me trying to figure out where the hell my friend was in the morning as the guest room was empty. It took so much fighting denial to realize she had been sleeping with my dad all night. Mum was destroyed, so was I. They both denied it and said they just talked. I still cannot believe this happened, but with retrospective, my dad has been such a crap dad to his kids and wife, and that friend has not been nice to me either. Edit. Wow, I did not expect this story to go that far. Thank you for the awards and the heartwarming comments. First time sharing something that personal so publicly, but I am glad I did. My dad slept with my best friend when I was 15. It caused my parents' divorce. They actually got married when she turned 18, but they both cheated so much it didn't last. In other words, I feel your pain, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. That's a roller coaster from start to finish. Sorry, mate. Right? 3-sentence roller coaster, that's impressive. Wow. What's your relationship, if there's any left, to those two like now? One of my first girlfriends in high school. Her mom used to seriously tell her that she should give me her virginity. Often. Then mom started flirting with me. One day while at their house, mom grabbed me in the hallway and kissed me. After we split up, mom used to still call me every now and then. One time asked if I wanted to come over and hang out. I did, and mom got my virginity. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.